Good morning, everybody. We'll be starting promptly at 11 a.m. Thank you so much for joining. Hello, hello, hello. We'll be starting in a couple minutes. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, for being on time. Appreciate that. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you all hear me? You can hear me, Terrence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. I was just making sure you could hear. Okay, we're gonna get started here. I'm waiting for. All right. Let's see here. All right. Let me share my screen for you. All right. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I just definitely want to respect your time on today and just thank you so much for joining our virtual home buyer seminar. Today, we have a lot of great information to share with you. We also have my colleague and friend here, Mr. Arthur Thompson, who will be on the line. He's actually a mortgage broker and manager over at Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. So he has years upon years of experience, not only in the residential, but he also knows about the different programs that are allotted to you. If you have any questions as far as credit score, different lending products, he's like a master at his craft when it comes to lending and knowing what type of programs that are available. So I'll have him speak as well. And also I'll be handing out this home buyer's guide. So I'll be handing out the home buyer's guide to all participants. So this is actually the buyer's guide that we'll be going over with today. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but I am going to touch on the most important things that you need to know about having in order for you to have a successful home buying experience. Okay, so again, I just want to thank you for coming through, taking your time out of your day on this Saturday to listen in on our seminar. Now, your home buying guide, we're just going to talk about the steps to buying a home, the timeline involved, the upfront costs that you need to know about when purchasing a home, closing costs, also the lending guidelines. What does it entail when you're also going through that process? How do you qualify? Where does your credit score typically have to stand? So Art will talk a little bit more on that side, but we're going to give you a ton of information. And like I said, again, this packet that I have here that's displayed, I'm not going to go over the whole thing. However, I will be touching on the major items that you need to understand and be aware of when purchasing a home. So let's get started. All right. So my name's Candace Rucker. I'm a real estate agent here in Dallas. I'm actually a real estate broker, which means I have my own brokerage called Rucker Property Management Group. We're a full service brokerage, so it's not just pertaining to rentals or investments, but we also service those that want to buy and sell a home as well as first-time home buyers. So we're a full service brokerage that operates on all realms of the home buying process. Now, I've been in business a little over 5 years now. I've been a full-time agent for 5 years and have a wealth of experience not only with helping clients buy homes, but also sell homes. I also work with investors. I also work with those those that have rental properties that they're trying to maximize their investments on. So that's why I do property management as well, hence the name of my company. Now, when you're working and deciding that you want to move forward in purchasing a home, the most important thing is not only getting all the knowledge that you can possibly receive before making that decision, but also making sure that you hire the right professional. Now, I'm not here to kind of toot my own horn or persuade you in any type of way to pick me, so to speak, but I want to tell you that it's very important that you interview your agents. You as the buyer have the right to interview those people that you are entertaining to represent you, because at the end of the day, that realtor is representing you and you want to feel comfortable that they will have your best interest at heart. Another main reason why I would highly recommend anybody that's looking for a home to hire an agent is because, one, it's free to you. So if you ever have a realtor coming to you asking for a retainer fee or some sort of fee in order for you to work with them, that's absolutely false. You should not have to pay anything in order to work with a real estate agent when you are a buyer looking for a home. So it's totally free. Couple other things that are great about working with the realtors: the paperwork. It's a ton of paperwork that's involved when you are buying a home. And it's some paperwork, if you've not studied it or read the paperwork beforehand, or you're not familiar with the terms, it's going to seem foreign to you. So you definitely don't want to sign paperwork, which are contractual agreements that can potentially lock you into something that you weren't prepared to attach yourself to. So you want to hire an agent that is familiar and versed in the paperwork side aspect of working with them. Next, experience. Experience is very important. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this market, but we're in a very unique time within the industry where houses are appreciating nearly 10% year over year. We're also seeing a shortage in inventory, which makes it a lot more challenging for you as the buyer a lot of times to not only find a home, but find a home that you want at a cost that is good for you. So you want an agent that understands the market, has the experience of dealing with the different challenges that come up when working in this sort of environment that we're in. And you want to feel confident that they can represent you at the highest level. Negotiation is another big thing. You want an agent that understands the contract. Like I said, this market is crazy. So you need an agent that is expert, has the expertise to be able to advise you on what to put into your contract. There's a lot of different ways that we can make your contract stand or your offer stand out above the rest. But if you don't have an agent that understands how to make your offer stand out, you're just really going to be blindly submitting offers without having a clue as to why they keep getting rejected. Well, it could potentially be what your agent is putting in that contract. Next, pricing. Pricing is a huge thing. Like I said before, houses are appreciating nearly 10% year over year right now. So it's very important that you are offering a price that is competitive in this market. Now, a lot of people are paying 10, 15, 20, even upwards to 100,000 in this market right now, above asking price. And we're not asking you to do any of that, but it's very important that you understand, because of the market that we're in, some offers may require you to pay above asking. This is not the market where you're going to get a deal. That's just the truth. This is not that market. So offering 5 below or 10 below or 20 below, that's not going to win you the house, especially if it's a home that you really want. So we always want to make sure we understand the pricing of that community. And we have ways as real estate agents to competitively position you to offer what is the competitive offer price for that particular market. And like I said, understanding market conditions. We understand the market conditions a lot more than the average person. And not to say that you won't understand as well, because you have the ability to go on Zillow, Trulia. However, that's really surface level when you're dealing with something from a day-to-day, very, very intimate way, such as a realtor. We are in the trenches, we're boots on the ground day after day. So our perspective on understanding the market conditions is a lot more integral than the average person that doesn't have the type of access and the type of experience that a licensed real estate professional has. So those are just a couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention when hiring an agent. The main things I want you to get from this is, hold on one second. Sorry about that. Okay. But the main thing that I wanted to get for you all to understand about what I just went over about selecting the right agent is that this one is a free service. You should never be charged to hire a buyer's agent. Two, you want to make sure that you have an agent that you are comfortable and confident in their skill set and their ability, because the type of market that we're in, it's very unique. It's a unique market, a unique situation, and you're going to need to trust the agent that you hire. Again, I'm saying that again because that's really important. You're going to have to trust the agent that you hire. So being comfortable in who they are, their skill set, and their integrity, and how they handle you is very important. It's going to also help you to have a lot more pleasurable or positive experience when buying a home. So I don't know if anybody had any questions about that part, but it's important. All right, so we're going to talk about the pre-approval. Again, I'm so excited. I have my colleague and friend here, Mr. Arthur Thompson. Again, he is a mortgage broker with Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. He has years of experience. He is very well versed in his craft. He has actually mastered his craft in this mortgage industry, and he has seen it all, from the market crash, from different strategic ways to negotiate your contracts, to also down payment assistance. There's a lot of first-time home buyers. There's a lot of people that have different grant programs that are available to you that you may not know about. And Arthur is a wealth of knowledge in that area. So Art, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, awesome. I am here. Forgive me, guys. I was on and then I had a power surge, computer went out, so I'm on my phone now. So if the phone rings and I get knocked out a little bit, that's okay, y'all, bear with me a little bit. But certainly, so I'm not gonna be able to do my slideshow because my computer still hadn't came back up yet. So I'm gonna talk my way through everything. But definitely wanna thank you, Candace, for inviting me to be here to speak with everybody today about purchasing a home. I am super, super excited to talk to everyone. Wish I was able to touch everybody and talk to everybody in a room, but obviously we're in this whole virtual situation. But it's okay, we're gonna make do with it, right? Give you a little bit about my background and what a lender do for you in the home buying process. I am like Candace say, I work for Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. I am a mortgage banker / broker. I am the manager actually, and I've been here for a while, been in the industry for 20 years now. And so, like Candace said, I've kind of seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know, help. I think now I'm probably well over several thousand people purchase homes, and so have a wealth of knowledge about purchasing a home. What your lender does for you is simply they're the intermediary between you and the bank. They're the person that's going to give you that money and get you the money that it requires to be able to purchase a home. Now, I'm going to say something, and you guys are probably going to say, huh? Because you've probably heard something different than what I'm going to say. But purchasing a home is actually not that hard. And you're like, what? Purchasing a home is really not that hard. The problem is, for many of us, we're not used to people being all in our business. And I will say, purchasing a home, that's the hardest part about it. It is probably the most invasive process that you will ever go through, because I always like to use this analogy. If I walked up to everybody that was on this call or everyone that may see this call and I said, hey, give me $300,000 and I'm going to give you an IOU, would you do it? The majority of people would probably say no. But when you purchase a home, that's exactly what you're doing. You're going to the bank and you're saying, hey, give me 200, 300, 400 or whatever amount, $1,000, and I'm going to give you an IOU. And the bank says, okay, that's fine. We'll go ahead and give it to you. And in fact, we're going to give you 30 years to pay it back to us. Most of us would probably not do that. And so the reason why I say that it is very invasive, because we do not know you, we'd like to find something out about you as much as we can. And that's why it becomes a research. And so the hardest part about purchasing a home is the simple fact that we're going to probably ask you to provide things over, and over again to try to see if we can trust you, right? To try to see if you're trustworthy, or try to learn a little bit about you. And so that is the hardest part about buying a home. But before I get fully into everything I'm going to talk about, guys, I'm going to talk a little bit about Candace. I've known Candace for a while now. She's broker extraordinaire now, but literally when we started working together some time ago, we met each other at a first-time homebuyer event over in Louisville. She was sitting at the table, fresh pup, just got her license, everything. And we ended up connecting. And here it is, many years later, we've still been working with each other. So I can truly say, in the process of buying a home, she's one of those trusted real estate agents that you can really count on, that's going to get in there and negotiate. There's many times she'll call me and say, hey, what do I need to do for my clients? What do I need to get to try to help? That is what you need when you have a real estate agent that will go to bat for you and fight for you. Many real estate agents can write offers and just pick a house and write your house, but one that will actually skillfully negotiate an offer for you and make sure that you get the things that you deserve as a home buyer, or even if you're selling a home, make sure you're getting the most out of that. She's that person that will go to bat for you. So I did just want to give that little tidbit about her. But I'm gonna go back to me. But so things we're going to talk about real briefly. I'm not going to hold everybody very long with this lender part of everything. I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to give you guys an analogy, and I want you to just write this down. Everybody have heard of the term CIA, right? Many times when we hear CIA, we're thinking, uh-oh, the CIA, Lord, I already know it's the government. They're about to get in our business. Well, I'm going to say CIA and use that term again. And yes, we're going to get in your business too. But we're going to use it in a different way. So when it comes to buying that home, I want everybody to think of CIA. But in this term, we're going to use it as credit, income, and assets. Credit, income, and assets, CIA. Those really are the three syllables and things that you have to remember when it's time to purchase a home. CIA, credit, income, and assets. Anytime you go to purchase a home, the first thing us as a lender is going to look for is your credit, because we start there first to see, do you have that minimum required credit score? And guys, that's going to range different depending on the lender that you're dealing with. Me and my bank, we start people with 580 credit scores and higher on government loans. And we do have the ability to go below 580, but it does require you to put down 10%. Usually most people don't put down 10%, so we say about 580, okay? And that's gonna be on an FHA government loan that allows you to put down 3.5%, okay? So when people say, okay, well, what do I need to have in my credit? For starters, 580. That is the minimum required in many cases for many lenders, okay? Because from there, things get a little bit better. Now, you're going to have some of your traditional banks and other institutions that may say, we want you to have a 620 or a 640 or something like that. And the reason for that is your interest rates get a little bit better the better your credit score, okay? Naturally, a person that has a 580 credit score is not going to get the same interest rate as a person that have an 800 credit score, right? So that person with an 800 credit score may be at a 2.75. The person with the 580 may be at something like 3.875. Not terribly bad, but not the same. they get rewarded for having pretty good credit. So credit is literally the #1 thing we look at first to see who you are and do you have the minimum required credit score. Then the next things that we're looking at on that credit is to see how you've paid your credit, to see if you're, you know, if you're a good person, if you're paying everything on time, if you have a series of late payments, or what's going on, if you have judgments against you, things like that. We're analyzing that credit to see what's going on. Another thing we look for is to see the debts that the types of debts that you owe, because depending on the types of debts you owe, it could determine how much house you can buy. A big one is student loans. And I'm going to go ahead and touch on it now because I know that's a big one for many people who get ready to purchase a home. Lord Jesus, I got these $200,000 in student loans. What do I do? Okay, what do I do? So for many people with student loans, we have to look at that in a different way. Depending on the type of loan you're doing, if you're doing a government loan to where it's an FHA loan with that 500-something credit score, we have to take 1% of your outstanding debt on your student loans, and we deduct that, or we put that as a monthly payment, so to say, right? Which comes out of your income. So just to say, if you owed, we'll just use example, $10,000 in student loans, excuse me. And if we take that 1% and of that $10,000, and let's say you had an income of $5,000, we deduct $100 from it. Now we're going to say your effective income is $4,900. So effectively, that's how, in many cases, we handle student loans. Now, there are some different situations depending on the type of loan you do. I'm a VA specialist, and if you're doing a VA loan, there's different rules to doing a VA loan. As well, if you're doing a traditional conventional loan, there are different rules to that. We can use different things in terms of payment for being able to help you to qualify for that. But literally, every rule is different. But the big rule of thumb as a whole that everybody should probably just think about is 1%, okay? Unless you're doing a different situation, okay? In terms of that credit, like I say, start with that 580 credit score is what we're looking at. The next thing we do is we add another piece to that situation, which is income. And the reason why we add the income to the credit piece is because, let's say you have about 10 items on your, well, I'll tell you what, let me use this analogy. Let's take two different people. Let's take a person that has a 640 credit score and they have about 10 items that they pay for monthly. Maybe a car note, $500, a couple credit cards, a couple installment loans, things like that. But then let's take another person making same amount of money as the other person, same credit score, okay? But then they have, maybe just one credit card. Well, when you look at the income piece to that, when you say, okay, this person makes $50,000, this person makes $50,000, there are two different people. And they're two different people because it factors in something called debt to income. The first person may have somewhere around $600 or $700 in monthly payments that come out every month, right? The second person may only have $25, $30 that come out. So the purchasing power of the first person is a little bit less than the second person because of the income, right? And so that's why we factor in the income piece with the credit to try to determine how much house you can purchase. That's why we say we start with credit to see what's on your credit report, but then we add the income piece to it to see where you are. Now, sometimes people ask me, well, is there a minimum income I have to be able to purchase a house? No, there's not a minimum income. It's just we want to make sure that your debt to income ratio is adequate enough for you to be able to afford the house you're going to purchase. Naturally, I don't want you trying to go buy a $2 million house when you really need to be in a $150,000 house, right? And so that's why we compare the two together, come up with that debt to income ratio and decide what can you afford? What can you afford? Okay, and so credit, income. Then the next part to that is assets, right? Assets. Now, people say, well, why does assets factor in? Because we want to know, number one, how are you going to pay your down payment? How are you going to pay your down payment? In many cases, There may be programs available that people can use, but we try not to get people conditioned to thinking that they're going to get free money because, guys, let me be honest with you, all right? Let me just tell you something, all right? All right, make sure nobody's listening to me. There ain't no free money. Y'all hear me? There is not a such thing as free money, okay? It's not free, all right? There are programs that are designed out there to help people, but they're not free, okay? Nothing is free, okay? Let me just say that. Now, are there programs designed for teachers, police, firefighters, and regular people? Yes, but they all come with a cost. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes a better situation may not be for you to use a program. It may be better for you to come up with your own down payment, and that's where the asset piece factor into it. Meaning, let's say you got a 401k or some sort of retirement plan, and you've been saving in that thing. In many cases, most programs allow you to tap into it to be able to purchase your home, right? And that may be better for you. And let me give you an example why. Okay, let's just say you're using a program and you say, okay, Art, I qualify for this program. All right, what, can I purchase? And I may say, yes, you can use this program. The program in many cases have automatic interest rates that your lender cannot control. And so what that means is the interest rate on the money you're going to borrow will directly determine what your monthly payment will be, okay? So if the automatic interest rate on the program is 3.5, but you have a superb credit score and you actually qualify for a 2.5, from your lender's perspective, am I going to just say, okay, just do the program just because? Well, any good lender probably will give you some options and say, hey, let me be honest with you. Is this your forever house? If this is a house you're going to live in for 20, 30 years, you probably do better paying the down payment out of pocket. Because the difference between that 2.5 and 3.5 on a $250,000 or $300,000 house could probably save you $50,000 to $75,000 over the term of that loan. So that's why I say we look at the asset piece to it to try to determine if you have the ability to purchase on your own or if you need an assistance. In many cases, if you need assistance, we have many programs here in the state of Texas that are available and that can help people because they're there to be able to help. But like I say, in many cases, they all come with a cost. Maybe that they may have a deed restriction. And if you don't know what that is, that may mean this. It may mean that for the first 5 years or 3 years of you having the home, you cannot refinance the home. You may not be able to sell the home without paying the loan back. Okay, nothing major, but there are certain restrictions that come with it. And that could be very important if, like at times that we just experienced, where interest rates got to the lowest of the low, right? So if you would have purchased a home a year ago and did a down payment assistance loan and tried to refinance, they may have told you, hey, sorry, you can't refinance because of the deed restriction. Don't mean that that's going to happen. In many cases, they may allow you to, but there are certain restrictions that go along with some of the programs. So your lender will try to assess what's the best situation for your direct case. No one is created the same. Sometimes there are some programs that will say, hey, you can't make more than $92,000, right? And so if you make more than that, you may not qualify. But many programs are available. I will say in this type of environment that Candace spoke about, when there's not a lot of inventory, but a lot of offers going in on houses, you got to sometimes be careful if you're using down payment assistance programs, because sometimes sellers of homes can frown upon it if they find out that it is a down payment assistance program being used. Is that correct, Candace?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that's not to discourage anyone that may need to have the program. I say that to say, if you're a person that have to have it and you lose one or two offers on a house, don't get discouraged. Just pick it up, try it again. You know what I'm saying? Because some people will look at certain things differently depending on the situation. Okay. So credit, income, assets. Okay. Assets, I tell people there's no certain number you have to have, but you need to try to save as much as possible. In many cases, you have to do your 3.5% down payment out of pocket in many cases. Like I say, if we can get sellers to pay closing, that's great. If you can get programs, that's great. But in many cases, the 3.5% on a government loan has to be paid out of pocket. And depending on your situations, you may need more money than that. If for some reason you don't qualify for the down payment assistance, or you do not qualify for, for sellers paying closing costs, you may have to have a little bit more because there are other fees that go along with purchasing a home. There's the title company. Title company usually runs a search on the property you're going to go to purchase, just to make sure that there's all the owners who say that they are the owner are relinquishing their rights when you go to purchase that home. And you want to make sure that it's free from any liens and defects when you go to purchase your home. Well, all of those people who work on purchasing a home come at a cost. And so you'll hear us sometimes say things like closing costs. Well, those are those other costs associated with doing a home outside of your down payment, which is the other reason why you want to have assets and save money, because there are sometimes additional attorney's costs and things associated with purchasing a home that you want to be able to make sure you have money to be able to cover. So good rule of thumb, like I say, focus on your credit, 580 or higher credit scores, make sure you're maximizing your income. And I will say this about income. When you're using income, if you're a person that has 2 jobs and you're trying to qualify with 2 jobs, just know in many cases, you have to have a 2-year history of having 2 jobs to be able to use both incomes from both jobs, okay? And so that's another piece that you need to factor in. But your lender will go into full details with you when it is time to go through that and look at purchasing that home. Hopefully they will break it down. And as always, like Candace said, if you call me, I'm a good lender. I've been here a long time. I like to go through these things up front with you to determine what you're able to do before we get too far down the line on purchasing a house. But credit, income, assets, another piece I will say about the asset portion of it, when you're saving money, as you get closer toward being able to purchase that home, let's say you're a month or 2 away from purchasing that home, a couple of things you want to avoid doing. You want to avoid doing cash deposits into your bank accounts. And you're probably like, cash deposits? It's my money. Right. But as a bank, most cases, we have to track where your income is coming from for being able to purchase a home. And we want to make sure that you're not a drug dealer or a terrorist funneling in money from outside sources, because we do to the federal government where, what people are getting their funds to purchase a home. And we have to look at and help them combat, terrorism and money laundering. And so I always tell people, when you get closer to doing a home purchase, hey, if you got a little side business or hustle or something you do on the side to make extra money, cutting yards or doing whatever you do, take that cash and put it in a separate account that you're not going to be using for your transaction, okay? If you have to deposit in the bank. Or, if you have to use that money for your home purchase, if your check is direct depositing to your main account, let your check stay there and you use that side cash for paying for your bills, okay? That's another way of doing it for cash. And so that's a part of that asset piece of it. You want to definitely avoid cash deposits when you're saving money for your home. The other thing you want to avoid is overdrafts. Banks don't like to look at overdraft accounts, okay? Because when we see a person that overdraft their accounts all the time, for us, it makes us look at that person that they may not be trustworthy. If they can't keep their accounts going, we want to know, hey, should we give them $300? Can we trust that they're going to pay their mortgage payment every month? So that's a part of that asset piece to it. You want to make sure that you're managing your accounts because when we go to look at that, we want to make sure that we judge you as the best person and not as a person that we would probably consider untrustworthy. Other than that, that's really a high-level overview of what it takes to purchase a home. Credit, income, assets, like I say, programs are available for you. Most down payment assistance programs, I will say this, will want you to have a 620 or higher credit score. That is very important because if you do not have that 620 or higher credit score, then you do have to focus on making sure you have your down payment out of pocket. Doesn't say you can't purchase, you can, but you're gonna have to be like everybody else and pay for that down payment out of pocket because some of the programs will not help you if you don't have the 620 or higher credit score, okay? So that's, like I said, again, pretty much a high level overview on from the lender's perspective, what we do, what we're looking for. And then I saw a couple questions come in. I'm gonna go in and see what those were. Bear with me just a minute here. All right. Oh, okay. I didn't see anything other than that. I'm sorry, y'all, if my fingers is in the way. I told you I'm using my phone here. But if we have any questions, definitely ask them in the chat box. I'll definitely try to answer them as much as we can. Like I say, been a lender for quite a while. Love helping people. I enjoy what I do. Like I say, the process is not hard. You just have to have someone that is skilled that walk you through doing this, because it really does become a hand-holding between your lender partner, your real estate agent, and guys, the relationship between the real estate agent and the lender has to be one that is key, because in many cases, it sometimes takes us working together to make deals work for certain people. Like I say, not everyone will be easy, but then not everyone's going to be the hardest person in the world either. But sometimes if we work together, and I will say this too, guys, throughout the process of purchasing the home, I like to encourage people, pay attention to your lender and your real estate agent. Try to block some of the outside people that may have purchased a home 20, 30 years ago out, because sometimes rules change, situations change. And I'm not saying that mom, dad, or aunt or auntie may not know about purchasing a home. They can give great information sometimes, but sometimes listen to your lender and your real estate partner the most throughout that process, because they can coach you a lot of the times on what it takes on being able to purchase a home, a little bit more than mom or dad, things like that. Candace, so I don't put my finger in anyone's face, do we have any other questions in the chat box that I can answer?
Yes. So, okay, a couple of questions. Thank you so much, Art. One is for Art. Can you share some things that will help buyers get to the loan closing process as quickly as possible?
Well, like I said before, saving as much money as possible is one that I would always say, because one of the biggest things that we do find out is sometime in the end, even when using a first-time home buyer program, there are additional funds that are needed. Those closing cost items I mentioned before, attorney fees, title fees, things like that. Sometimes insurance or taxes, a tax escrow account. And by having an extra reserve fund, you make sure most of us most of everybody just got a stimulus check. Let me just say most of everybody, not us. Most of people just got a stimulus check, and I'm jealous because I didn't get one, right? But I tell people that's a good opportunity to save. It's tax time. Take that money right now. Okay, guys, and I'm going to say something, and I may offend somebody with what I'm about to say, but if I do, I don't care. All right? So let me just say it like this. I understand we've all been locked up. We've all been locked up in the house for a very, very long time. We all want to travel. We all want to go places. But if you don't own a home, if you're going to file your taxes or you're getting that nice stimulus, guys, instead of taking the kids to Disney World this year, or instead of going on that Caribbean vacation, save that money for a house. Save that money for a house. I mean, I'm not telling you not to go enjoy. Take a small piece of your money and go do something for the kids. But guys, wouldn't it be great right now if you could take some of that money, save it for the down payment, or save it for being able to cover your closing costs and being able to get your house. Guys, you would not understand and how that could actually set your family on a way of wealth. Home ownership is something that is very important, and more people need to focus on doing it. But sometimes it takes sacrifices that many people don't want to do. And like I say, right now it's tax time. It's tax time. If you're getting that check, guys, I'm sorry. The kids don't need a PlayStation 5. Tell them to go stay on the PlayStation 4, okay? For at least one more year so we can get the house. And then we can get the new PlayStation when it come out, because by then they'll have a PlayStation 6, okay? But I'm just saying, guys, that it is really, really important that you put forth money for being able to get to that closing table, having your reserve fund saved for that. The other thing that I will encourage people that you can do to facilitate getting to the closing table quicker is do not make major purchases when you are purchasing a house. Oh my gosh. I won't tell you guys how that is the #1 killer of most mortgage transactions. I understand life happens. life happens to all of us, okay? It happens to everyone. But if you're going to, let's say, you have a car wreck and you ended up having to get a new car, in between buying a home, you really need to talk to your real estate agent and your lender before you go and make that new purchase, because depending on the purchase you go make, it could keep you from being able to get your home. Give you an example. If you're paying $500 a month and all of a sudden you decide you want to go get the new BMW that just came out and now you're paying $900, that could change your debt to income ratio and cause you not to be able to be able to get that house. So you have to avoid making major purchases without talking to the lender or the real estate agent first. I mean, that is a super, super important thing because it stops us all the time. And here's another one that I'm going to say, because we are at tax time. Guys, I understand. Well, I'll say guys and girls. I understand. Sometimes we like to say we have businesses to get more on our tax returns because we can have those write-offs. Well, you got to be careful on claiming losses on a business that you really don't do a bunch on. Because from a lender's perspective, we take any loss that you have on your tax return, if we're using your tax return to qualify, and we'll deduct that from your income. Meaning, if you say you made $50,000, but you had a side business doing Mary Kay, and you said you claimed $10,000 in losses from that Mary Kay business, we're going to say, okay, well, if you only made $2,000 and you have $10,000 in losses, where'd you get the other the rest of the money for doing that? The other $8,000. Okay, so we're going to take that $8,000 and deduct it from your $50,000. And so effectively, that's your income now after we deduct it. We're going to say, okay, $42,000 is your income, not $50,000. Well, wait a minute. In many people's cases, sometimes they may even write off more than that. And they may reduce that $50,000 to $25,000. Well, if we're forced to use your tax returns when qualifying you for a loan for any reason, that could potentially hurt you. So once again, before you file your taxes, talk to your lender and say, hey, I'm getting ready to file my taxes, but I want to make sure that I can purchase my home this year. Hey, can you make sure that I'm filing the correct way? And they should be able to give you some tips and tricks to make sure that you're filing correctly. And that's especially important for self-employed people as well, because in self-employed people, there is no other way for us to purchase a home with you outside of using your tax returns, or in some cases, some lenders may be able to use bank statements to do a bank statement type loan, but you have to make sure you really don't write off all your income. And most business owners have the tendency of doing that. So if you make $100,000, you don't need to just show $20,000 just so you can not pay Uncle Sam, because guess what? We're going to say your income is $20,000, not the $100,000 that the business made. Okay, so those are just a couple of important tips that I say will help facilitate getting to the table a lot quicker. Anything else you got in there, Candace, that came in that I can answer?
We do have some, but I want to get to finishing this presentation because our time is dwindling. If that's okay with everybody, you can keep asking your questions. I do see all the questions and we're going to get them answered. I just want to make sure I respect others' time to be on task with our completion, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, thanks, Art, but you do have some more questions here.
Okay, we'll wait to the end and we'll try to answer them then.
Right. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so, oh my goodness, Arthur, he is a wealth of knowledge, as you all can see. I'm so happy that he was able to speak to so many points. And like I said, we got some questions that need to still be answered, but I just want to keep things going as we are on a sort of a time crunch. So we're past the pre-approval stage. Art has got you fully qualified. He's done his due diligence. You're good to go. You know how much you qualify for, which is the most important part. You know what your monthly payment is estimated to be, which you feel comfortable in making that payment every month. So you're good to go. So now let's talk about your wants and needs. Like I said, we are in a very unique time in the market, meaning that we have a supply-demand issue, which means that there's a lot more demand and a lot less supply of homes available on the market. Because of this, what it's done is it has inflated the prices of homes, and it has also put it's a lot more buyers in the market that are wanting to purchase, which makes it super competitive when putting an offer in and getting it accepted. We have to be a lot more creative. We have to be quick and fast and efficient when you make those offers. So that's why it's important that we talk about wants and needs. We always want to know what is most important to you. Okay, so if you're more worried and concerned about the area, meaning you want to be in a good school district for your kids, or you like the proximity of shopping and dining out, or you're more so interested in a neighborhood or area that is an up and coming area, or a rural area, then we have to really get specific on what we want going forward. So in the event we find that property, you're not in a conflict within yourself that's, oh, I don't want this, or it's, oh, the carpet, oh, the paint. Because remember, cosmetic things we can always change. Of course, we want to go into a house feeling happy and comfortable and it's move-in ready. So I'm not saying to not want those things, but if it comes down to a paint color or some carpet, I don't want you to allow that to hinder you from making a decision, especially when it has everything else that you want and you need. Okay. So just to go over shopping for a home, typically, and it's a seller's market. And just to mention this too, this is a packet that I'm going to email to all that are on this Zoom today. So I'm not going to go through this whole packet because it's pretty extensive. However, I will be emailing it to you at the end of this seminar. So what I'm doing is I'm actually going off of a more condensed version that I'm looking at in my notes here. So just don't get caught off when I'm not scrolling through every single word or page of this document, okay? So when shopping for a home, we know that today we're in a seller's market. So what that means is a seller's market, again, we need to know what our wants and our needs are off front. That's when we do our buyer consultation and we talk about that. Now, in that buyer consultation, not only are we going to talk about your wants and needs, but we're also going to talk about the competitiveness of the market, meaning that I don't want you to get your hopes up and be discouraged when we get out here and start looking for properties and you put an offer in on that beautiful home and you so happen to lose. Because keep in mind, for every property that's on the markets, at least 5 to 8 other buyers that want that same exact home that you want. So that's why we talk about being ready, knowing what you want because of the competitiveness of the market that we're in. Again, that's not to make you make a decision on something that you really don't want and you don't feel good about, because I'm all about how you feel about that purchase, because at the end of the day, this is one of the largest purchases that you make in your life, and you're going to have to live with that purchase. So you're going to have to feel good and comfortable with the purchase of that home. So just know that this is a competitive nature. It is a seller's market. We are not in a buyer's market right now, unfortunately. Do I believe that it will become a buyer's market eventually? I absolutely do. When? It's hard to really say so right now. And that's just because of the stimulus money, the quantitative easing that has been taking place within our market, where people are getting stimulus checks, people are getting extensions in their unemployment. It's a lot of quantitative easing taking place that is really manipulating the market. We also see forbearances being extended with evictions, forbearances being extended with foreclosures. So all these factors play a role in the housing inventory. It plays a role in the participation that we see within the market. And it also plays a role in us not really accurately able to pinpoint when this market is going to shift to a buyer's market. So keep that in mind when we're looking in a house right now. We're currently not in a buyer's market. I do believe we will be. When? I can't tell you exactly because of so much quantitative easing right now. Now, when you find that home, I want you guys to remember that it is for cost. It is for costs that you need to have set aside. So I know Art talked about down payment assistance, and those money that you can use for down payment. However, apart from down payment assistance, there's still funds that you need to have in your account ready, willing, and able to spend that immediately, especially once you get an accepted contract. So the first cost that you have is the earnest money. The earnest money is typically 1% of the purchase price. So for simple math, $100,000 house, that's $1,000 to the side, gone. The next cost is an option fee or due diligence fee. What that is your reasonable consideration to the seller, telling the seller, hey seller, I like this house, I want to purchase this home. I'm going to give you, it can range anywhere from $100 to $250. It even can be more, especially in this market. But basically it's you giving them this $100 to $250 and saying, hey, Mr. Seller, I want this house. I want you to accept this offer, and I want 7 days or 10 days in order to really make a decision if I want to move forward on this house. In the event in that due diligence or option period of 7 to 10 days, if for any reason I want to back out of this contract, you go ahead and keep that $100 to $250, whatever that amount is, but I want my earnest money back. I want that $1,000 I just paid. I want that back. So essentially what that option money does is it protects the earnest money. It protects that larger lump sum of money that you just put down, that 1% of purchase price that you just put down for that house. So that's the second cost. The third cost is an inspection fee. We recommend that all buyers get an inspection, a home inspection. If you don't have a person that you know of to do your inspection, I can provide you with a list of inspectors that I personally use with my clients and have had great results. So don't worry about that. The inspection is typically between $300 to $600, and it can get that high because if a person is buying a house and they want the works done, meaning you want termite inspection, you want the infrared lights for water damage, you want all type of extra bells and whistles on your inspection, then it's going to run you up some money. Plus, if your house is a larger home, a lot of inspectors do it based upon square footage as well. So if you have a house that's over 2,500 square feet, that price may run you up some more money, okay? So keep in mind, we have earnest money, that's 1, option money, that's 2, and then we have the inspection, that's 3. And I said the inspection can be anywhere from $300 to $600. The fourth cost is the appraisal. The appraisal is a fee that your lender will take from you. The lender is typically going to take that fee from you between 10 to 15 days after you've already signed the dotted line and the contract has been executed. The reason why they take it between the 10 to 15 days after is because they want to make sure that you're going to move forward with this house. Because remember, I said in the beginning, you have a 7 to 10 day due diligence period, meaning that you can back out at that time for any reason, especially if something happens on the inspection that you just don't feel comfortable with. You have the opportunity to back out and not lose your earnings. So they take that fee about 10, 15 days after execution of contract. And what that fee is for the appraisal is that's for the lender to have someone, a third party, come out to your home that you're purchasing and assess the value, the purchase price value. So if you're buying a house they want $200,000 for, however, the appraised value of this home is $180,000, then there's a $20,000 gap. And typically the bank is not going to lend on a house that is over appraised. So what does that mean? It means a couple of things. Either you're going to have to come up with $20,000 additional dollars. The seller is going to either say, okay, we'll just take what the lender's saying, the appraisal saying, and we'll reduce the price to $180,000. The seller will say, hey, I'll come down to $190,000. I'm not coming down to $180,000. So that means you got to come out, instead of $20,000, $10 additional $1,000, or everybody can wash their hands of this transaction and part ways because we can't get the deal done because the sellers do not want to go down that low. They don't want to compromise. They want you to bring that $20,000 to the closing table to make up the difference. So that's why you have to have a good realtor, because before I even put in an offer with my clients, I always run the comps. I always run the comps to see what the market value, what the going rate is for these properties, because I would hate for you to have to pay over the purchase price. Now, we are in a market where people are okay with that. We are in a market where people are okay with paying $10,000, $20,000 over, and they will actually bring that money to closing. So don't think that people aren't going to be doing that, because people are doing it right now. So just kind of let you know that that is really going on in this market. But those are the 4 costs that you need to have set aside. And based upon the purchase price, you're looking at anywhere between $2,500 to maybe $5,500 or more that you have to have set aside first before even going forward, because you need to, once you have a accepted offer, you're going to have to start dishing out money. And if you don't have any money saved in the beginning, then you're not going to be able to do much moving forward. So that's just to kind of give you an overview of what type of costs are required when purchasing a home in the beginning, and what you need to really have in your bank. Any questions about that? Okay. All right. So once we get past all of the inspection period, we get past the option, we get past the inspection, we get past and one thing I want to do, I want to point out the inspection. When you have your inspection done for your property, the inspector is always going to look at the full total package of the home. But there's 5 areas, always 5 top major areas in a home purchase that you really need to pay attention to. And those 5 areas are the roof, foundation. You need to pay attention to the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical. Those are the 5 most costly items when purchasing a home. So you want to make sure that when the inspection is done, which you're going to have a consultation typically after the inspection, and then they're going to also give you an inspection report, you want to make sure that there's no red flags with those items. If they are, what your agent will typically do is they will get another opinion. They will actually get a licensed professional to come in and just reevaluate and really make sure that this house is okay and there's no crazy issues going on. So when you get your inspection report and you start seeing all type of crazy things when it comes to like a hole cut out or some patchwork, I don't want you to get too alarmed about that, especially when it looks like it's like maybe covering up a nail hole or something like that, or just color, or maybe the carpet is stained. All those things are going to be in the report. But those are important, but those are not the major things that are really going to cost you down the road. The major items are the 5 items that I just mentioned. Okay, so once we get past all of that, we're settled. You got your inspection done. You got everything going with the house. You're comfortable. Then again, you go to the lender, which would be ART. It typically takes from start to finish 21 to 30 days, sometimes 21 to 45 days. If you're using a VA loan, it's typically going to be closer to the 30 to 45 day range. If you're using a down payment assistance program, that will add time to closing. That usually is that's usually 30 to 45 days window with down payment programs. So it's very important that you communicate with your agent how much time you think this is going to take, because we have to negotiate all of this up front, typically within the contract. So it's all important, okay? So after the time frame of you finishing up with me, the lender, it should take about 21 to 30 days. You always want to make sure that you have your homeowner's insurance. They will not let you close without it. And you also want to make sure that you have all your utilities transferred and turned on the day of close. I always tell my clients to have them turned on the day of close, because even if you don't close on that day, we can always extend that time out. But you never want to not have your utilities turned on, because you don't want to have any interruption interruptions in services, because I've had sellers that turned their utilities off immediately, and then you come into the house trying to move and you don't have any lights, you don't have any water, and you can't navigate because you can't see. So you want to make sure, so in order for you not to have any interruptions in service, make sure that you have your utilities and everything cut on the day of closing or scheduled for the day of closing. Any questions about that? Let me see. Okay. Well, I pretty much have went over the gist of the presentation. I know we're at the top of the hour, and I definitely want to respect everybody's time. I wanted to go into the questions as well with Art that we've had. And please feel free to mention your questions in the comment section as well. Another question for you, Art, is okay. What if you keep cash in a safe and want to use that cash as down payment and deposit in account? What best way to handle cash deposit in bank when buying a home?
You need to deposit that cash into the bank account 60 days before you start your purchase. 60 days before you start your purchase. Typically, the bank is going to ask for you to provide the last 2 months bank statements for purchasing a home. If that money is deposited 60 days before, then we won't see that it was cash that was deposited, and the banks will consider it seasoned. Okay, so just make sure you deposit those funds 60 days before starting the purchase. Okay.
Thank you. And we have another question. Oh, how can an agent stay neutral for a seller when their commission is based on the selling price? Well, when it comes to an agent representing the seller, it is a neutral, it's always a neutral position, because one, you're in contract with that agent and they have a fiduciary duty to you to represent you. It is dependent on price. That's how we are paid, because we're paid based upon the sales price, but we're also in agreement, right, that you as the seller want top dollar for your home. So our job, honestly, is to get that client the most money for their property. So there's no, I don't feel like there's any blurred lines in that, because at the end of the day, as a seller's agent, our job is to represent you. Our fiduciary duties are to you. We're not to disclose your personal information or the reason why you're selling, because typically people want to know those things as if it's going to give them an advantage, because sometimes it may give them an advantage when submitting an offer to you. But we have a fiduciary to you and a confidentiality, but we also you hire us to get you the most money for the sale of your home. So the more money you can get, the better for you, the better for the agent, because you're going to capitalize off of the sale of your home just as much as, the agent. They're doing their job by maximizing your investment by getting you as much money as possible. This is great information. Thank you all so much. How many come to real estate agents who aren't qualified? Do agents only deal with you when you have pre-approval? No. All right. We deal with everybody. And
Right.
Art is really good about, and I always tell people, talk to Art, because what I find out a lot of times is clients, they don't even know where they stand credit-wise. They automatically disqualify themselves. So I say, go to Art, because even if you're denied, he's going to be able to see everything on your report and give you a strategy and instructions to follow to help you so you can get approved. Correct, Art?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big thing, and a lot of times I think people are afraid to speak to the lender. It's funny how they'll call the real estate agent and ask the questions that they should be asking us, the lender. Mm-hmm. But don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to call, ask your questions. There's no questions that are stupid. A good lender should put you on the roadmap for being able to purchase a home. Many times I deal with people and they're not able to buy right now, but they are later. So I tell people, you either now or later, right? And so you know, just come and let us put you on a roadmap to say, here's what you need to do. Because there's many times I'll say, okay, go ahead and pull your credit. Let's look at it. Let's dissect it. And here's what you need to do. And guys, I'll be honest with you. If you follow what I tell you, I mean, literally to the T, don't hesitate, don't procrastinate. You will get your home. Credit and everything it takes to purchase a house is very easy for a trained professional like myself, but execution is something that I cannot do for you. You have to be able to execute. And so when you decide that you want to make the decision to purchase your home, execute fast, do the things that it takes, and follow the plan. You know, because if you follow the plan, it will be easier for you through the process. But if you fight us and you fight the entire time because you want to do it the way you know or the way somebody else told you to do it, then you will have a difficult purchase situation. But just listen to us, the professionals, and I promise you, we're going to guide you to the correct way.
Exactly. Just follow the roadmap. It's like already laid out for you. You just don't even have to think about it. Don't try to think about it. Just follow and listen. And I promise you, some people take longer than others, but that's okay. The goal is still going to be the goal for you. So just focus on the goal. Next, we already answered that. She said, teach art. Yes, save that money for house and go to Disney later. Delay. Not make major purchases when in process of buying a house. This is so good. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. And I couldn't stress enough how that is a big factor, guys. And I mean, it's comical, but it is very true. And I want to say that again before we get off this call. Save the major purchases for later. Right now, take that money, save it. Let's get you a house. This is the most perfect time ever for you to get a house. If you can't see it, Candace mentioned, prices are going up. They're going to keep going up. They're not coming. Even if we get more inventory, let's face it, as a lender, I will tell you something, because not only am I just the lender, but like I told you guys, I'm a manager. I am seeing a record number of default properties for people right now, right? So we know that there's going to be a small housing pop that's going to happen, that's going to bring more houses to us. But guess what? The price of houses are going to keep doing this, going up, because there are more people moving to our metroplex. There's more people that want to purchase in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the thing is, the prices are going up. The cost of lumber for building new houses is going up. I was just talking to a builder yesterday. He told me the cost of a 2x4 went from $1.57 to $12 per 2x4, which means they're going to be increasing prices on new construction homes by $20,000 to $30,000, right? So that's going to keep happening. Prices are going to keep going up. So why not get in right now, purchase your house while rates are still low? Because guess what? They're not going to stay low forever. We're going back up, because as the economy do better, a mortgage, if you did not know it, is based on the stock market. It's an investment, which means as we do better in our economy, the mortgage interest rates go up, just like your investments do in a 401k or anything else. So I want to tell everyone and encourage everyone, get up right now, make that decision. Don't take the long trips, save the money. Let's get your house right now.
Yes, let's do it, guys. No, but I thank you all for participating, and please, I am wanting to send you all that home buyer's guide today. I'm going to email it to everybody that was participating. If you would like to have conversation with us as well, I'm going to attach Art's number and information to his company to the email as well. And we're also going to share this recording, because we're recording it. So please feel free to share the video. It'll be on the seminar list. Oh, wait a minute. We got another. The price to rent in this city versus purchase is a great savings. Yes, it is. It really makes more sense to buy than rent, because at least you're putting that money back into your house instead of putting it into somebody else's pocket. Like I have a rental property here, and she's paying for my mortgage, plus I get extra money. But it's like, I'm gonna get my house though. But it feels good to be able to capitalize off this market. It's like, I look at a house in my mind, like I look at a house as like a savings account or a 401k. You know, a lot of times we associate 401k with the job. Well, if you have a house and you're putting, your payment is your monthly investment. So that's your investment from your paycheck every week or every bi-weekly, but every month you're putting this money away in your account. And by the time 5-10 years and the way the appreciation is in this market, you're going to see a return that is probably more substantial than your 401k could provide to you. So that's why I tell people, look at also, I know you want the pretty house and all of that, but also investment wise, make sure that you have that in your head. Like, this is going to be an investment. This is a nest egg. You know, I look at my property. My property has doubled. I just bought that house 2019. It has doubled in the equity, and I can't even believe it. Like, I paid no money for that house. Like, my tenant pays. So if I wanted to cash out on that house, I could, and I could do something else with it. But that's where our minds need to be. Invest, and positioning ourselves for a longevity, a future. You know, breaking off generational curses of wealth disparities in our family, our blood. I'm really big on that. And that's what makes me passionate about real estate. I love the fact that real estate can change your life. If you use this tool, it's a tool, and you look at it like that and don't get caught up in, you know, the glitz of it, you'll recognize how powerful of a tool it is and how so many people, every wealthy person has a investment portfolio in real estate. Every one of them. Look it up. Yeah. Every one of them. Absolutely. So that's what I want people, that's what I would love for everyone to have, that mindset and approach to real estate and house.
Yeah, I saw another question come in right before we leave, Candace. It said that I was told to pay off my credit cards, but I still can't buy a house because I purchased a car. I believe it's what I saw pop up on the screen. Let me just say this. It goes back to that thing that I talked about when I was talking earlier called debt to income ratio. If you pay off your credit card, sometimes the monthly payment on the credit cards are so small that they don't really affect how much you can afford in terms of a house. Give you an example. If you make $3,000 a month and you have a car note that's $600 a month, okay? So effectively you're down to $2,400. And let's say you want to go purchase a house that costs you $350,000. Just braining it off of, you know, normal rates and amounts. In terms of a payment at $350,000, you're probably going to be paying somewhere around $3,000 a month on a house. Well, if you only have $2,400 left, of course you can't purchase that house because your debt to income ratio is too high. In many cases, the lenders want you to stay at about 50% debt to income ratio. On some government loans, we can go to 56.9, but 50%. So if your income is $3,000, take that car note, $600 out of it, you're $2,400, say 50% of that, that's $1,200. So if you're looking at a house at $240, $250, may not work, because at $1,200, you're needing to stay at around $1,200, you're probably going to be looking at a house around $140, $150. So it's probably not that the person told you don't qualify. You probably just didn't qualify for the house you were looking at that moment. And in that option, that's when your real estate agent should have said, hey, you know what? Let me go get you a condo or maybe a townhouse that maybe fits your budget a little bit better. So the lender needs to just tell you how much you qualify for instead of saying you don't qualify. Because you probably qualify, it's just for a different amount other than what you were looking for at the time.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So that's it. I don't think we saw any more questions come in. So thanks again, Candace, for inviting me. I love talking, as you guys probably see, and Candace probably got to cut me off because I talk too long. But I love talking, and I love sharing this knowledge that I have with people. Don't hesitate to call me, guys. Candace says she's going to share my phone number. She'll be sharing my cell. Call me at any time. If I don't call back immediately, forgive me now. I do get real busy at times, but